My curiosity project was the question I had looked for was, can children's play actually help them grow, and in what way does it correlate to later in life? Um, and so I had started by looking at a scientific study that was done on animals where they looked at their play and where their play was. And so they found out that the play is um, it's hardwired in their survival centers of their brain, which is the cortex. And so in this study, they took out the cortex of um, animals. There was two groups. There was one who kept their cortex, and one who had their cortexes taken out. And the study showed that the animals with the cortex taken out of their brain could still do all the same things as the other animals. Like they could hide, they could still eat prey, but they had a harder time making like connections with their other animals and getting needs that they needed. And so it had been showed that humans also have their play hardwired in the center of their cortex and their survival centers. And so the baby's play begins as an infant when they move, kick, play with their food. Those are the way that their play begins. And from infancy to the early years of for children, they learn through free play, which is that like kicking, moving, rolling, playing with their food. And that was a quote that I took from the source, What We Know So Far. And so the cortex begins developing pathways based on like their environment and situations that they're in those early first few months. Not only do those neural pathways and developing pathways that are being made be boosted by play, but it also helps their emotional skills and the things that they need to be in society. The way these children learn those skills that they need, emotional skills, is undirected play. So not being told how to play, what they should do, just letting them play. This helps them gain those skills also by playing undirected with other children. Playing with other children without being directed what to do or how to help gives them ways to figure out how to deal with problems, how to deal with their emotions and regulate and find out how to navigate those conflicts on their own, which is skills that they're going to need later in life. That was also from the resource What We Know So Far. Now, in my resource that I have, my second resource, Learning Through Play is the website I found, and it talks about how play unlocks 5 super skills. Those 5 super skills are physical skills, social skills, emotional and cognitive, also creative skills. And all of those skills are needed to do anything in life. You need emotional skills to be able to have relationships. You have social skills so you can have a job. You can go to the grocery store. Physical skills, you need to like run, jump, walk, run. And creativity is crucial to life, because without creativity, there's no inspiration, there's no joy, you can go so far with creativity. So having play in children's lives gives them those 5 super skills that are needed. Now, after having those 2 resources, it really can back up my question and like really make it true, and showed me that play is needed and it really does help children. Children learn all of these different things needed for them to survive and succeed in life just by playing. It gives them these pathways, and so it's really shown and like confirmed that play does help them. And so now to move on to my question of how does it correlate to later in life? Professor Gray from Boston College, he is a psychiatrist who spent decades researching children's play. And the clinical psychologists, which is what he is, they've known for a long time that if you don't have a strong interlocus of control, which is an intense sense that you're like competent to take charge of life, and without that, it can lead to anxiety and depression. And so he's advocating for an urgent need to reclaim the act of independent play due to its profound impact on children, happiness, and long-term effects. So he talked about a study in this website from improving mental health. Improving mental health through independent play. Sorry. It's from Harvard Graduate School. They did this piece. And he talks about a study on stress levels of teenagers and adults. 83% of teenagers said school was the most stressful. And around, like, that was where they got most of their stress. And second in that study was 40 to 45% of the teenagers, said that fear about their future, college, or having a good job was their other part of their stress. And it was shown that the teenagers had way more stress levels than the adults did. And so we've created a space at school where teens are so worried about how well they're doing in school, and if they aren't doing well or don't get a good job, that they're going to be a failure. And that is what he had talked about in his improving mental health through independent play. And so he says we should take away the homework away from little kids. Like, we're having homework being sent to elementary schools, kindergarten, and their recess is being shortened because they need to do these homework things in like academics. But if we give them a longer recess and take away that really like aggressive homework, then they get to have that independent play in that time, like in that like very moldable and necessary time to learn those skills they need through independent play. And for the older groups, like those teenagers, to give a little bit less amount of tests that make them feel so stressed and that this is like going to make them a failure. And so having more play throughout everybody's lives can create a positive outcome and have a less amount of anxiety and depression. And so having independent play and free play and undirected play as a child really can affect your long-term, like later in life. And so I think we should implement those things more. The end result is going to be way better for us.